Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is Ship Updates. And I was bound and determined to make sure that the background footage in the next video was not yet more footage in a hauler. I wanted to get some actual combat footage. And lo and behold, I decided, you know what? Since I'm at Lorville anyways, they do have those bounty tracker missions around here. I haven't done these since they've been changed for 3.12. Why not start to work my way up that and just explore that and have a little bit of fun? Now, ordinarily, yeah, ship updates would be ship updates, but there are none. So we are kind of going with what we got and kind of exploring some ideas, asking questions, and hopefully at some point devising an answer. And the truth of it is, and I'm sure that there are other people who feel that way, feel the same way, is I have been neglecting my combat skills in Star Citizen. Specifically maneuvering, counter maneuvering other people's ships, things like that. I have been woefully lazy about for quite a while now, and that is kind of one of these things that kind of kicks around in the back of my head. And I was like, you know, I have to get on top of that, and I have to start working on that again. And what better ship than the only fighter that I would normally really fly, which is the Vanguard. I love the way the Vanguard works these days. It is a far cry from what it was back in the 2.0 series of patches, which was an unplayable mess. It still has issues, yes, but currently I feel that it's not that bad. I would argue for things, and I would argue for changes till the cows come home. Little tweaks, little changes, specifically with the nose guns. That would be kind of a big one, but it's not a deal breaker. Though I think that CIG didn't envision the Galadriel being mounted on the front of a Vanguard, and that is something that is probably going to see some kind of an adjustment in the future, because that does look pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I decided to, you know what, go out, take the Vanguard, shoot up some NPCs, and try to kind of get back into the swing of things. The first bounty, I actually had to come back and rewatch the footage to actually see what type of ship it was. It just didn't register because, that size 5 gun turns out was, in this instance, a very good idea. By the way, that ship was a Gladius. Boop. Bye. That was kind of funny. But after that, I ran into a far more fearsome and far more dangerous foe that some of you may be familiar with. You know, it's one thing to kind of go out there and say, like, oh man, this dude's got the saber and he's got all the size 3s on it. Bam, 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 bam. He's wrecking my ship. The next guy, oh man, he's got the Gladius. He's way more maneuverable than I am, you know, and these are can be very dangerous opponents and very popular opponents out there that you can run into frequently in the Star Citizen universe. But I ran into a different opponent. Now pay attention to what's flying around me in space here. Because even now, as I've watched this footage back maybe about the 5th time, I'm not exactly sure what did that. But whatever did it good. Because it just blew me up in one shot. And I didn't, I barely even locked the target, and it was just like, boom, evaporated. And I can't see how I collided with something. But with the Vanguard on cooldown, I figured, you know what, I'm going to do something that in the past, one of the reasons why I don't get into especially light fighters all that often is experience in the Buccaneer. And I was like, you know what, we'll avoid the Buccaneer and we'll get into something else. Being a subscriber, I frequently get access to all these other different ships. And I have not touched the Anvil Arrow since it originally came out. And I just said, you know what, I hear a lot of good talk about this ship. Why not give it a whirl? Why not take it out into the universe and play around with it? In previous times that I've kind of tried to, take a run at this and kind of explore these kind of ideas or confront some of my own prejudices, so to speak, and try to see if there's something out there in these fighters. If it's just like, if it's maybe just a taste thing, like some people like this, some people like that, or, if there really are some problems. Because in the past, doing these bounty missions, when I had done them with the Buccaneer, there were times when I would come out of Quantum and there would be, the almost universal cutlass sitting right there that you're supposed to destroy with the shotguns on. And as soon as I would come out of Quantum, bang, like half my ship is gone. Like immediately as I came out of Quantum, like one of my wings was just blown away, and there goes most of my guns. And very quickly it's pop, and my ship is just evaporated. So I decided to go with the Anvil Arrow and experiment with this. I figured, you know what? This is a very highly rated fighter, very highly respected within the community. It's apparently up there with the Gladius in terms of the best dogfighter there is. Though I'm sure many people would debate from different points of view, different ideas. But, apparently it's good, right? Is what I'm trying to say. So I figured take this thing out and give it a whirl, do some bounty hunting around Lorville, and just kind of explore around. And at the very least, we'll get some interesting combat footage, so long as I don't die within the first 2 seconds. And I have to say that I get it. I get the appeal of fighters. I really do. A lot of people, when they hear what I have to say about owning a fighter in Star Citizen, they often think that, I have something against fighters, and I don't. I understand the desire, the want, the need to get into the cockpit of something like this. I understand, it comes from that X-Wing place. It comes from that Y-Wing or that A-Wing place. B-Wing, bit more of a medium ship. That's more Vanguard end of things, but I understand the appeal of it. I really, really do. But where my prejudice against fighters comes in is in the practical day-to-day. I'm always sitting there and I'm kind of thinking, at some point they're going to limit the armor that you can wear within the ship. And that is the thing that is coming, that eventually you're going to get to a point where you can only basically wear the basic flight suit and, that helmet that goes along. Well, I don't know if helmet restrictions will quite figure into it. I'm assuming that, but who knows? But you're going to be limited into what armor you can wear. You aren't going to be able to carry weapons on your back. You might have limitations to how many guns you can carry with you. Of course, the Gladius can now accommodate a couple of firearms, but what are the limitations on that going to be? These are a lot of things that CIG is kind of confronted now as they're getting further and further into Squadron 42. They're like, oh yeah, we actually do need these things. And that's probably a feature that's going to get expanded onto a lot of ships in the future. But when you start to confront the practical realities of exploring different environments, the different armors that you have to wear, and there was, I'll get to that. Actually, I'll get to that in a second. But when you start confronting all those practical realities, that's when I start looking at fighters and I go, you know what, here and there, I totally see the fun and I totally see the appeal of it. I really do, but it's just day in and day out when you have things that you're after in Star Citizen. I feel that in a fighter, you're often going to find yourself at odds with the realities of the universe for the things that you want to do. But if you were to take that element away, and if you were to say, hey, I just want to be a fighter pilot in Star Citizen, and this is all that I want to focus on is what you're seeing on the screen right now, just dogfighting, then I think that if your expectations are realistic and Star Citizen does the right things to kind of reward this type of gameplay, then I do think that if you are specifically looking for that niche, then I think that you're going to probably end up in a pretty good and a pretty decent place. It's just, I often kind of think of it from like a more traditional MMO player type perspective, where it's like you got to bring all the utility and all the things with you because you never know what you're going to need when you get out there type. That's my mindset. And so that, admittedly, that does taint my point of view on these things. I think more about the practical day in and day outs than I think about, trying to get that one perfect moment for a fighter pilot being dogfighting. But I think that, there are certain things that we've gotten recently in Star Citizen. If you think about the Halloween masks, or the pirate cutlass, or the pirate caterpillar, or the glaive, certain fighters that are unlocked by achieving certain things in games. Now, previously it was in Arena Commander that you had to do either the Pirate Swarm or the Vandal Swarm. Then recently in Star Citizen we got the Halloween masks, where you had to either use the Gladius or the glaive to shoot down 50 players, and they didn't have to be in ships, mind you. And then you got that certain mask. Now, I didn't bother with that because it really wasn't something that I was after. But what I think that we can do is we can look at this, and we can possibly look at an avenue to open up the reward system in Star Citizen. Now, recently we've done a lot of videos where we've talked about the idea of the rewards that we're earning in game currently in terms of money and stuff like that. But I think that specific to fighters, we could do something very interesting with the systems that we already know exist in Star Citizen. If you think about, let's say you are the fighter pilot type person, you want to be that ace fighter pilot, and you want to have something to carry forward. I think that we should explore ideas about making custom skins for fighters and custom flight suits. Because remember, at some point, like the light fighter pilots, especially, and the medium fighter pilots, are probably going to be stuck in just flight suits. But we can come up with some unique options. Maybe, what I'm doing right here, clearing space around Hurston, getting rid of all the nasty NPC pirates. Maybe after killing X amount of pirates or earning so much rep or so much money with Hurston's going to reward me with a custom paint scheme that I can't buy in a store and I can't swipe my credit card for. It's just earned through hard work. Things like this, having rewards like this in the game, could really balance off these kind of limitations that fighters have, and could make this, an area for the people who specifically want to pursue it. It could make it a very rewarding area. Maybe, we look at ships like the Anvil Arrow, the Gladius, and hopefully the Buccaneer after it gets some fixes. And we start going, hey, you know what? Let's make some custom paint schemes that you can only earn, fighting for Hurston Dynamics or ArcCorp or what's it? No, I just want to call them Moby Glass. But the guys, New Babbage, whatever they are, the landing site that I never want to go to because it always seems like it's the most broken. Microtech. Okay, so Microtech. Maybe they have their own paint schemes that go along with their security forces. Maybe we could have access to that. Maybe a fighter pilot working for, Hurston or ArcCorp or Microtech could get these little markers that kind of go along the side of your ship to show how many kills you've gotten in the service of the company, things like that. You don't have to give them access to extra powerful weapons or anything that you might have to claw back, but through the cosmetic avenue, you could add a lot of rewards to fighter gameplay, something specific to fighters. In the beginning, we can look at other ships later, but, something that would add a lot more rewards. So for the people out there who are, really knocking things out in the fighters and really enjoying this avenue of gameplay, that there's something for them to pursue, and something which at some point in the future, CIG doesn't have to worry about clawing it back. Like, oh no, those shields are too powerful, we got to get rid of them. Oh no, those guns are too powerful. Oh no, you've made too much money, give me some of that back or all of it. Things that are cosmetic like this, they don't have to they don't have to grant the player power. One of the great things about cosmetic rewards in a lot of MMOs is it tells a story about your character. It tells of the places that you've been, of the challenges that you've overcome, the enemies that you've faced. And often that is more than enough reward for many players. I mean, once again, coming back to the Gladius and Glaive situation, we all know that there was more than a few players out there in the universe who were offering up UEC to just show up at Grim Hex or wherever and, strike a pose for their guns as they were working their way up to their 50 kills. If we add stuff into the game that makes these ships rewarding to fly and gives people things to pursue, even if it's just like little kill markers, like 1 kill marker means, yes, you've gotten a kill. 2 kill markers means you've gotten 10. 3 kill markers means you've gotten 100. 4 means, like 250 or something like that. Cool little things like that on a ship. I think there's a lot of players out there who would be just over the moon for a reward like that. And it's a reward that you never have to worry about clawing back from the players. Now, kill markers is a little bit different, because that would probably involve CIG having to make some more changes to the way cosmetics are applied to ships. But certainly basic paint jobs that just aren't accessible with the swipe of a credit card, or just pushing, selling, or trading some of your UEC for it, but something that actually involves you playing the game and being skilled at the game, something that rewards players like that, I think a lot of players would key into. And I think that would be a great way to reward fighter pilots for the people who choose to pick this very narrow lane in the game to pursue. For those people who are out there and who are all about it, I think this is a good idea to chase, to create rewards for them to chase in the game. Who knows? A couple of cool, unique paint jobs, maybe something with the old skull and crossbones on the tail fins of a Gladius, might actually make me pick up a fighter again. Especially if it meant something.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.